Hello there, this is LEGO Dynasty, and today I'm going to bring you guys my thoughts on the just released leaked list for winter 2024, or I guess January to May 2024 for LEGO Star Wars. Just got this from Promo Bricks and figured I'd talk about what we know now. Promo Bricks is very reliable. What you see on the screen here is what is very likely going to come out. I mean, there is some differences. For instance, the Jabba's Palace Diorama set looks like that set is officially canned since it's not even in this lineup of sets, and it was a rumored set for last year. So keep that in mind that there is a chance something slightly changed, but normally that just means the set itself is canceled rather than them replacing it with a whole new set. But who knows? So just quickly going through the list before we go into each set individually. We have the Polybag 30680. Last year, it was the X-Wing to go with the UCS X-Wing. Lego and patterns, they have patterns, and then they completely abandon it. So for now, let's just assume it's going to be a mini set of the UCS set that releases in May, of course, to coincide with May the 4th promo sets. And then we have the Clones vs. Droids Battle Pack, which comes in at €29.99, $29.99 US dollars, presumably $39.99 Canadian. That is supposed to be like the 501st Battle Pack, but have even more droids. It's said to have 10 minifigures. We'll get into that a little bit later, but very excited about that one. The Skeleton cruise ship, which, as far as I'm aware, that show is still supposed to release this year, unless it's been pushed, but as far as we're aware, it's supposed to come out after Ahsoka, so very interesting to see what that ship looks like. Then you have a couple of midi-scale ships with the Millennium Falcon and Tantive 4, which I think a lot of people were sort of expecting. Midi-scale does look like it's here to stay, and it looks like they do not have any helmet sets coming out this year, and Midi-scale will be replacing the helmet sets going forward. Then you have the Grogu's Escape, which is with Keller and Beck, Ahmed Best, saving Grogu from the Jedi Temple during Order 66. The most perplexing one, which I'll get into later, and buildable R2-D2 again, and then a Boonta Eve Podrace Diorama, again, probably going to be like the Trench Run, mini scale. Buildable Droidica, which I'm excited for. Of course, the UCS set, which we don't have any information on. The Crimson Firehawk, which is from Young Jedi Adventures, which is expected to be a 4+ set. Pretty expensive, though. And then lastly, a Tantive 4 boarding diorama set, with Darth Vader, presumably, and a couple of Rebel Fleet Troopers and Stormtroopers. Should be a pretty good diorama set. But let's get into starting with the Clone Trooper Battle Pack. So, as of right now, Super Battle Droids will be returning. I assume it's going to be a new mold. They had so many issues with the old mold, with the broken arms and whatnot, and broken legs. Those parts were very brittle and would break all the time. So, unknown which Clone Legion it will be, but fingers crossed it's just a regular, plain Phase 2 Clone Trooper, because I think that's what everyone's wanting. I mean, if it is a named Legion, Wolfpack kind of seems like the way to go, but I wouldn't want Commander Wolf in this set. I'd want Wolf in his own set rather than having, collecting, 10, 20 Commander Wolves. That's just me. But 10 minifigures, I'd expect, the memes will be, it's going to be 2 clones and 8 battle droids. It's probably going to be closer to 4 and 6, perhaps, 2 regular battle droids and 4 super battle droids, or maybe it's the other way around, and then 4 clone troopers. Again, you're probably looking at 3 regular clone troopers is what I'd be hoping for, and then something else, maybe a gunner. Maybe they redo it sort of like the classic 2008 battle pack, where, you had the commander. You give him, a cloth pauldron, presumably printed legs, instead of, a cloth waist cape, and, the other parts. Definitely very excited for this set. If you're a fan of the helmet holes, I assume the set will have the clone troopers with the helmet holes. Some don't care for it, some really like it. Me, I'm sort of stuck in the middle. Definitely feel like it can be improved. But let's move on to the Skeleton cruise ship. And like I said, as far as I'm aware, this show is still supposed to release in like November or December of this year. So still have no trailer or really anything. I think there was a trailer at Celebration, but they haven't released it to the general public yet. So based on this concept art, I assume this is what the ship will be. Looks kind of cool, I guess. Again, we have no information. $139.99. 1,325 pieces. Yeah, pretty cool. And of course, moving on to the midi scale ships, we have the Tantive 4 and the Millennium Falcon. Again, don't expect any minifigures, but I personally hope for minifigures. I definitely feel like the Executor ship could have had an Imperial officer or Admiral Piet or something along those lines. And if these sets were potentially to include a minifigure, how about a Captain Antilles? And to make it a little bit different, how about a Lando Calrissian in Han Solo's clothing? You know, we saw that figure in Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. You know, it's sort of a meme that Han Solo or Lando Calrissian wears Han Solo's clothes at the end of The Empire Strikes Back. Want to give us that minifigure on the little display stand that these presumably will have. I mean, I guess we don't know. We don't have any images. Obviously, won't have any images for a while, but definitely really cool and really exciting to have some more MIDI scale sets. And then, of course, we have the Rescue from the Jedi Temple, which will have a Bark Speeder and apparently a Jedi Temple build. Grogu and Keller and Beck figures are included. No other figures are known. I hope for either a Shock Trooper or a 501st Trooper or both. Why not both, right? Because I think that would, make a lot of sense from the scene. We see Shock Troopers chasing after Keller and Beck, and we also see them engage 501st Clone Troopers at the Jedi Temple. So I think it makes a lot of sense to have, those two characters with two Clone Troopers to face off against, and that's sort of what I'm hoping for, rather than it just being Grogu and Keller and Beck in a Bark Speeder with the sidecar and hopefully a pram, because we've only had a pram in the holiday advent calendar sets for Grogu. So hopefully we see something like that, but definitely exciting. $29.99 US, presumably $39.99 Canadian. So makes a lot of sense. I mean, who knows, price could go up. Next up, we have the Boonta Eve Podrace Diorama, which is a March 2024 release. $69.99 US, so probably $89.99 Canadian. And like I was saying, I really feel like it's probably going to be a MIDI, a very small scale, like the Trench Run Diorama set. Probably won't be the whole race or anything like that, because I don't think you could then put any of the pod race vehicles themselves, but maybe just the finish line with Anakin's pod and Sebulba's pod. Very interesting diorama choice, our first prequel diorama. So, hey, we finally got a prequel diorama. Hopefully leads to them doing some more prequel dioramas, especially with Revenge of the Sith coming up. Would love a Palpatine's Arrest diorama and some other, maybe a Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Count Dooku dual diorama set for 2025. But obviously, what we have here is still pretty cool. Now, this is probably the most perplexing on the list for me. The buildable R2-D2. I believe the current UCS, well, they don't call it UCS R2-D2, but the really large buildable R2-D2 is retiring at the end of the year. But still, I'm not a fan of when people say, well, who wants this? But in this case, who wanted this? Like, has R2-D2 sold that well that they want to, do a smaller scale? Because this is a lot cheaper than the other one at $99.99 US dollars. Obviously, price could change, but still, definitely the most perplexing to me, especially since we have the Droideka build, which is the one I'm actually a little bit more excited for. I missed out on getting the Imperial Probe Droid buildable droid character. Just sold out before I could get it. I was waiting for it to go on sale, and then it was just gone. So, unfortunate there, but Droideka build, I think they did one way back in the day on Technic. So, expect something somewhat similar. Won't have the shield generator, I'm sure, but still very curious to see what they do, since the previous one came out near when LEGO first started doing Star Wars. So really cool that they're doing that, and yeah, definitely an interesting one for sure. Moving on to the UCS set, of course, we do not have any information on what the UCS set is. May 1st, 2024, $240 US dollars. Presumably 300 Canadian dollars at this point. Again, no information. I mean, you have, in the past they did mock-ups for a TIE Bomber, a Nebula B frigate. Maybe they'll do a TIE Interceptor. If they're going to do a re-release like the X-Wing, maybe a Darth Vader's TIE Advanced, or a Jango Fett Slave 1. Or, not Jango Fett, sorry, Boba Fett Slave 1. I mean, no chance they do a Jango Fett UCS Slave 1, unfortunately. overall, pretty interesting. Like I really have no idea what direction they go. If they're going more current, I guess they could do the Mandalorians and one Starfighter, but that almost feels too soon, and I don't think they can make it that big to reach that price point. So yeah, very interested to see. Obviously, we'll have to wait a while to see what that will be. Next, we have, of course, the Crimson Firehawk from the Young Jedi Adventures. This is a 4+ set. No figures are confirmed, but they expect Nash Durango to be included. No idea who that is. Haven't watched Young Jedi Adventures. It's on Disney Plus, but have no interest in that show. Still, the ship itself, this concept art, the ship looks kind of cool. So if it looks cool, maybe I'll get it. If it has all the characters, I mean, why not, right? So we'll see what it looks like. $60 for a 4+ set, though. It's like that's pretty darn expensive, if you ask me. I mean, of course, it could end up not being a 4+ set overall, and yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see what it looks like and what characters are included. I'm not planning on getting the Tennu Jedi Temple as of now, unless it goes really cheap. So I expect that'll be the same for this. And then lastly, we have the Tantive 4 boarding diorama at $49.99 US dollars, which will translate to about $64.99 Canadian, March 1st, 2024. And this will be when Darth Vader boards the Tantive 4, of course, as you can see by the image. So I'd expect a couple of Rebel Troopers and Stormtroopers and Darth Vader. Maybe they'll cheap it out and only give you a Stormtrooper, a Rebel Trooper, and Darth Vader, but I hope they double it up, give you 2 Rebel Troopers, 2 Stormtroopers, and Darth Vader. I think that makes sense as a lineup for this diorama. Now, personally, I kind of wish they did it like the Dark Trooper attack set, where you could extend the hallway and made it a playset. Of course, that could be what this is. They think it's diorama, but it isn't. But yeah, that's it for the 2024 winter releases from January to May. Definitely an interesting lineup. Definitely some missing sets. Again, no Captain Rex Y-Wing Bomber. Which I guess makes sense. Hopefully it comes out in the summer. I mean, they've heard people request that set for a while, but in the end, they still haven't done it, which kind of sucks. Overall, I think this lineup is pretty decent. It's not like the greatest lineup to me, but it definitely could have some heavy hitters. I mean, I'm very excited to see what the Clone Trooper Battle Pack, or I guess Clone Trooper vs. Droids looks like, and there's some other interesting sets. Will they include a minifigure in the midi scale sets just on display? Because I personally feel like those sets can have a minifigure and it works for them. Like I said, Captain Antilles for the Tantive 4, you just put it on what presumably will be the display stand, and then giving us something different rather than just a Han Solo in the midi scale Millennium Falcon. Give us the Lando Calrissian in Han Solo's clothing from the end of Empire Strikes Back, because I just think that makes a lot of sense. But again, have no information on that. That's just I wouldn't expect any minifigures in those sets. So in the end, that is it for these sets. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this wave. Are you guys excited? Are you guys a little bit down that there's not as many clone, or really any clone sets other than the Clone Trooper Battle Pack versus the droids? Like, are you disappointed there's no droid battle pack? There's no Captain Rex Y-Wing, which again, maybe some of this stuff releases in the summer, but because this is only from January to May. But quickly, I just want to give a quick shout out to Promo Bricks, 1414 Falcon Fan, and The Brick Reporter. Their links will be in the description for their Instagram pages. They're great for any LEGO leaks, and were the sources for the images that I just grabbed from their Instagram pages to put here, as they worked so well. So shout out to those guys. But yeah, just let me know your guys' thoughts overall on this winter wave. Are you guys excited for it? What are you guys' overall thoughts on it? What do you think the UCS set could be? Let me know down in the comments down below. Please leave a like and subscribe if you have enjoyed, and have a great day, everyone.